Hello and thanks for staying with us. Customs continue to wage war against smugglers. Also on Customs reports, Customs spokesman speaks on happenings around Nigerian Customs Service. Plus more reports on Customs matters. I am Egeseme Itinye. Stay tuned. The Assistant Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service, in charge of Zone A, has told importers to come clean with their documentation to enable them to clear their consignment from all the ports in the Western Zone. The custom boss told agents with less duty to come forward for their right duty, or else their consignment will be seized.
You have to be up and doing by knowing your onions, know what you are looking for, and you strategize by putting all officers, those who are knowledgeable at a particular point. And this brought about that if you remain analog officer, your posting will equally remain analog. Yes, if we see what comes out of you, we will engage you more. And that is the rule. Yes, that is the rule. Whosoever produces much must be recognized, must be seen, must be visible. But if you decide to play at the backyard, then the people in the parlor will never know that you exist. Then, with the other manufacturers that we have, some are big ones to an extent that they are almost operating with kind of reputation that they establish. But even on them, we have to be extra careful, because human mind is so big that it can develop and develop and develop until it beats your imagination. You can't just relax because there are no pauses. Yes, from time to time, when you carry out your duty as it is supposed to, I tell you, you may end up making discoveries. And those discoveries will be to the benefit of the service and by extension to the nation. Then the issue of discipline. Discipline is one vital organ of human society. Any society that is not disciplined, that is how we come about some negative words like lawlessness, like anarchy, like jungle justice, and what have you. But we thank God that we found ourselves in a service that can, by all standards, claim to be disciplined service. Discipline requires you to conduct yourself in a different way, in a different manner from what is known. That is, you are expected to be extra performer. The way you talk, the way you dress, the way you move, is the way you relate. You must be an extra human. Your outing will tell about you. If you appear neatly, what will come to someone's mind that you are smart. If you appear ramshackle, dirty, undescribable, you remain undescribable. And then another issue is our migration. We migrated on two platforms. The other one on the aspect of our development as officers. The other one on the work development. Now, since two has come, those in those terminals, bonded terminals, are expected to meet the needs of the new platform. They had to be trained, and when they train, they should go ahead to train others. By so doing, we develop ourselves from within. Then the other migration is where we migrated from our old ways of doing things, where officers manipulate their posting, where officers manipulate their promotions, where officers manipulate every facet, including having an accommodation in a command. The rule now is first to come, first to serve. Not that Odibu is from Cross River, he attend to Akwa Ibom because he is neighbor. That will only develop hatred. But if he attends to me being first to confess to serve on the platter of justice and fairness, I have no option but to love him.
You are watching the program Customs Report. The spokesman of the Nigerian Customs Service has been speaking with Customs Report on happenings around customs submissions in the country. He urged Nigerian public to always assist Nigerian Customs Service in the operation. He speaks more on the number of issues.
Before now, we are operating on NISIS 1, and it had to be upgraded to NISIS 2. What that upgrade brought to the table is the fact that it's able to block some leakages associated with NISIS 1, and it's smoother, quicker, and more transparent. And the result is that stakeholders now are having their goods cleared quicker than before, at least from customs zone. August this year, just last month, we recorded the highest ever monthly revenue collected in the history of the Nigerian Customs Service, with well over 140 billion naira for the month of August. It takes a whole lot to have arrived at this historic feat of over 140 billion for the month of August. Apart from the upgrade in the system, the Comptroller General of Customs have taken some strategic steps in its ongoing reform, and the harvest is what we are having. Some of the steps taken by the Comptroller General include strategic deployment of manpower, officers, deployment, reshufflement, and all that. And then, of course, the upgrade of the electronic system, strict implementation of extant guidelines by the Department of Tariff and Trade, and more importantly, the increasing disposition of officers and men of the service to change for the better. You know, one thing with reforms is that you don't just get the result instantly. 3 years down the line now, we are beginning to have rich harvest of the reforms which the Comptroller General of Customs started about 3 years ago on his assumption. You know, he came with a three-pronged presidential mandate of restructure, reform, and raise revenue. The service has undergone restructuring, has continued to undergo reforms, and I mean, talking about raise of revenue, this is what we're having. We hope that we continue to increase. I mean, you can never have enough. The nation needs all the revenue that the Nigerian Customs Service can bring to the table, especially at this time of challenging oil revenue accruing to the purse of the federal government. For customs to be scored low in the area of efficiency at a time when the clearance process is highly automated, the electronic platform has just been upgraded, at a time when goods are being cleared from the customs zone quicker and more efficient than ever, at a time when vices associated with the process of the past are being blocked, it makes one begin to wonder whether those who supply the kind of information that gave birth to this kind of report are not those who may have been affected by the blockage of the leakages, which some indeed may have been beneficiaries. So my advice would be that in conducting research, we should be careful about who becomes our respondents. Otherwise, the answers you get, which will now guide or lead you to a conclusion, might be sometimes face-saving answers, sometimes arising from some personal concern over an otherwise patriotic action taken by the agency of government. So that's my take about that. And also, when they also talk about how frequent or how quick goods move from the port and arrives at the warehouse or the house of the consignee, one begins to wonder whether it is the duty of the Nigerian Customs Service to ensure that the access road to the port and the border are smooth. So many things that are not necessarily customs related appears to have been lumped up to customs. And of course, in Nigeria, if anything goes wrong in the port, it's the Nigerian Customs Service. Generally speaking, beyond the management, I think Nigerians are appreciating more and more the activities of officers and men of the Nigerian Customs Service, and the harvest of seizures and revenue coming in from the Western Zone that you have just mentioned should and is something worthy of note, and the management is appreciative of the sacrifices that officers and men are making, and continues to explore ways of rewarding either through commendation letters or through promotion. And then generally, the Controller General of Customs is very concerned about the welfare of officers and men, and he's continued to keep his efforts on until he achieves a better remuneration for the service.
The Area Controller in charge of Upper Customs Command has urged owners of unused power to come forward for their power to be properly utilized as laid down by Nigerian Customs Service. He told stakeholders to maintain the policy of customs concerning clearance of goods at the port. He speaks more on the power system in the country.
I have already started taking action on my arrival here in Apapa Port. One, I want to achieve a 48-hour down clearance of cargo here. I have already ordered that henceforth, one spot examination of cargo must be maintained, which is in line with the policy of the federal government as well as the management of the Nigerian Customs Service. I have also cancelled the issue of re-examining of any cargo that has already been examined under the one-spot examination of cargo. I have started also a meeting with stakeholders in the port. I have visited the management of the NPA in the port so far. I have visited the Commissioner of Police in charge of the port. I have also visited some of the concessionaires for me to address them specifically on issues or problems of customs, which we are more interested in, to give us the opportunity to effect changes on whatever observation they bring before us. While doing that, we also had used the opportunity to bring up issues relating to the quick clearance of cargo in the port and the bottlenecks relating to the operation specifically in Apapa Port. That is what we've started.
The other issue boiled down to the issue of Apapa. You just came in couple of weeks ago.
Specifically 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, yeah. Yeah. What has been the level of collection so far? Because we are aware that in the month of August, the customs celebrated over 140 billion collected in 1 month. So what has been your position so far since you came in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks I arrived here. That is the time that the history has been made so far. I think what happened in the last 2 weeks with regards to customs declaration in the port is so tremendous and encouraging. Shortly after my arrival, we were able to make a collection on a particular importation of about 38 billion. And the expectation of duty on monthly basis for Apapa Port is about 35 billion. And if only one declaration or two, or rather from one stakeholder, can give us 38 billion. You can now imagine only from that transaction, we have surpassed our target for that month. Now, by the time we added to our normal daily collection, we were able to get, for the month of August, almost 70 billion naira from Apapa Port. And we are hoping, because already we have started month of September in good slate. Just last week, Friday, another importation was made where a particular company paid a huge sum of about 6 billion naira. So we are there, and we are attributing this to the new dimension with regards to quick clearance of cargo in the port. We are now going by the extant laws on import and export. Clear.
The issue of NICES 2, which was introduced recently in virtually all the ports in the western zone and in the eastern zone too. Is it part of the contribution?
Certainly. You know, Nigerian Customs Service is automating, and we are virtually advancing in that ICT unit. If you remember, 16 years ago we started with Asikuda 2.7. Later on we skyrocketed to Asikuda Plus. We jumped to Asikuda Plus. Now we are moving from NICES 2, where we are just migrating to NICES, from NICES 1 to now NICES 2, which is total automation. Now, when you have total automation of any operation, it gives less human contact, and of course, it fastens the clearance time around whenever there is any declaration regarding import or export. So it is a tremendous booster to our activities in the port and also in the service in general.
So the issue of power right now, how many power systems do you have so far that you really want them to utilize within the system?
Yeah, so far we have unpaid pre-arrival assessment report, which is PAR, over 1,000 so far, but we have not even finished routing them out. But from what we have in our record, they are over 1,000. Like you heard me say it, we realize some of these PARs, the cargoes have been moved to other terminals, inland container depots in the hinterland, and they have been cleared there. Unfortunately, the duty over there has not reflected in our record in the port here, so it is affecting us here. Hence the need for me to call on all the stakeholders to inform such importers, because I have already started taking action to check in the records, be sure that all the pre-arrival assessment reports issued by the Nigerian Customs Service have been fully utilized.
Also, Wale Adeniyi, a controller of Nigerian Customs Service, has this to say on the stakeholders meeting that took place in Lagos.
The time release study is a project that the customs administrations all over the world can use as a tool to measure how effective their trade facilitations measures are. You could automate your procedure, you could change your law, you could put the right people in the right places, but you still need to see how efficient these things are in terms of how much of time it takes to process goods from the time of arrival to the time of exit from the port. So this is what TRS is all about, and it's been executed by a working group that comprises customs and all the stakeholders that are involved in the release of goods from the ports. So the stage we are now is that we have come up with a questionnaire. What time did your cargo arrive at the port? What time was the registration number given? What time did you get to customs? What time did you pay? How long did it take customs to process it? How long did it take government agencies to process and all of that? So we will harvest all those data, we will analyze, and then we will look at where the bottlenecks are, and then we would have further discussions with the stakeholders to see what we can do about those bottlenecks. Is it about changing the law? Is it about tinkering with the procedure? Is it about reducing the number of people interventions that are involved? So this is what time release study is all about. It's a more scientific approach to trade facilitation.
You told us you'll be on for the next 6 months. to get this procedure on. Are you comfortable with the response from the stakeholders?
Okay. Not exactly. The measuring itself does not take us more than 10 days. But this is the pilot. So because there's a pilot, we need to put together a group that will do it, the working group. So we need to train them, we need to design the form, we need to sensitize the stakeholders and all this. And this takes time. So we're saying that it might take as much as 6 months to do it. We started in July. We are ending sometimes in the first week of November. So it's just about 4.5 months.
The seized jerrycan of petroleum products apprehended by men of the Federal Operation Unit Zone A has been transferred to Western Marine Command in Apapa for auction to members of the public. The numbers of jerrycan transferred to Federal Operation Unit Zone A has already been sold to members of the public as approved by the management of Nigerian Customs Service. The controller FOU said that the seized products have been auctioned to members of the public as approved by the management.
Each jerrycan contains 25 liters. Presently, we have 11,000 jerrycans. Then we have a lot at the high sea, which we are going down the ACG to go and see how to evacuate it down. Presently, we have 11,000 jerrycans of 25 liters, worth 39.8 million naira. That's what you are seeing here. As the ACG said, this is very inflammable, then which means we have to dispose it immediately. So we are going to follow the rules of the law to do it the way it's supposed to be. That is to dispose it immediately. When I took over, the first question you asked me is, what are my strategies? I say I'm keeping my strategy to myself. Within the festivity period, I use that strategy to make decision, and which I will not disclose to you. It's a secret to me. This is just part of the one we have. They say we have another one like this, the other side. So maybe they may even have another one again if we start going inside. So just watch it and see. We are going to make more than this one.
Investigation revealed that anytime big seizure is made by any custom formation in Nigeria, officers involved are always promoted by the CG of Customs. This is the biggest seizure ever made by FOU Zone A on petroleum products in Nigeria. The Customs Area Controller in charge of FOU Zone A has been decorated with a doctorate degree by a university based in Cotonou. Nigerian students studying in Benin Republic has been advised on the need to promote Nigerian image abroad. The Customs Area Controller in charge of Federal Operation Zone A, Dr. Ali Mohammed, said that the award of doctorate degree in his honor will further help in boosting his performance in the fight against smuggling activities in the country. The custom boss also said that Nigerian Customs Service will continue to fight against fake papers and fake receipts.
Doctor, what will you be saying to your people all over your fellow customs?
My fellow customs officer. Actually, especially this, what you call the semi-border officers. We work together. They help me a lot. I want them to continue helping the present controller too. At the same time, their time is coming. Most of them will be controller. When they become controller, please advise them. Let them be bold. Let them put the service first. Don't allow somebody to mislead you. Put the service first. I'm sure you achieve, as I achieved today.
The custom boss warned importers operating in Benin Republic to stop smuggling rice, vegetable oil, and other products into Nigeria.
One of the speakers was advising them, this is the beginning of their life. So if it is the beginning of their life, let them choose the right path. They should not allow themselves to be used by these smugglers, to be, saying when you carry, you make money. No. Even if there's no job, let them be creative. Let them create something to do. It's not time for this college of this time. You see a lot of graduate raving about. But if you have something in mind, creative, that will sustain you before you get a job. So my advice for them is to join the queue.
According to him, customs submission operating at the border will continue to fight against smuggling of cars into the country. He urged Nigerians living in Benin Republic to import goods into Nigeria with clean documentation. Just before we round up this week edition of the program Customs Report, we brought you a report where ACG in charge of Zone A says that management of Nigerian Customs Service will continue to implement all measures as approved by the federal government of Nigeria. For me, Igeseme Itinye, thanks for watching.